It's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan.
If you're in the business of making money, it would behoove you to be a safe and inclusive space.
Whether you agree with what someone is saying has nothing to do with his right to say it.
Here's a story of a man named Tony. He was surrounded by EVPs. They had to bend over to get their jobs, and some were on their knees. Here's a story of a man named Paul. His nose was twice as big as his face. I heard when he fought the local police, they used up all their mace. Then one day they put the local show together. When they realized they didn't have any stars, then they laughed, looked at each other and yelled, "Who cares, we're fucking marks. They're fucking marks. They're fucking marks. They killed wrestling 'cause they're fucking marks." What's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrificed my time so you don't have to. I know where this article, multiple articles, because I have multiple articles I want to read for you guys. I'm pretty sure you've been following up on the whole Ronda Rousey situation regarding WWE and her new book. And a lot of people were asking me to comment on it. And actually, I didn't really see that big of a deal about it. Honestly, I just thought it was just another rip piece on Vince McMahon. And by the way, he absolutely deserves it. And John Laurinaitis absolutely deserves it. Bruce Prichard, not too sure about him, but I'm pretty sure he deserves it also. That's not what I'm upset about. I read pieces of the transcript. I'm not going to lie to you. But we're going to read it together, and we're going to react to it together to get a fuller context of what the hell's being talked about. So if you want to join me, the links are down in the description box below. I'm going to read these articles for you on the screen if you want to direct yourself to that. So here we go. This is the first article. This one is discussing Bruce Prichard. I'm going to take it in importance. So it's going to be Bruce Prichard first, then John Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon. Check this out. Ronda Rousey has made waves recently with her new book, Our Fight, a memoir. In the book, she dives into her life story and her career in the world of sports thus far. As such, several sections of the book cover her time in WWE, a time that she has mixed feelings about, and she hasn't hesitated to let that be known. One of the more intriguing accounts in her book is the problems she had with WWE management, most notably Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and Bruce Prichard. Ronda Rousey has not held back and has ripped into all three men for their behavior and conduct. She even detailed one instance where Prichard reduced a female ex-WWE star to tears backstage. The female ex-WWE star in question is former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Aaliyah. Ronda Rousey recalled how she was rehearsing in the ring with the other women when Raw superstar Liv Morgan approached them and revealed that she had bumped into Aaliyah crying hysterically backstage. And I quote, "I just ran into her, Aaliyah, almost hysterically crying," Liv Morgan explained. Aaliyah was asking if it's true that none of the talent wants to work with her. We exchanged confused looks. I didn't know Aaliyah well, but I'd had nothing but great interactions with her. She was one of the sweetest girls in the locker room, wrote Rousey. According to Morgan, Aaliyah was upset because Prichard had told her that the producers wanted to bury her and that no one wanted to work with her. And I quote, "Why would she think that?" I asked. Morgan responded, "They wanted her to come back from her shoulder injury right away, but she said she needed more time. That's when Bruce Prichard told her that all the producers were trying to bury her and no one wanted to work with her. She was really upset," wrote Ronda Rousey. That's one article. We're going to get to the next article because I have more to talk about all this in context. This is another excerpt talking about John Laurinaitis. In the fall of 2021, WWE was rocked by Triple H requiring emergency heart surgery that took him away from his role for several months. During his absence, Vince McMahon's tentacles took over NXT and introduced the NXT 2.0 format, while releasing several members of the brand's backstage team, including Samoa Joe, William Regal, and Road Dogg. Writing in her new book, Our Fight, available for pre-order now, Ronda Rousey detailed that turbulent time in WWE history and thinks it was McMahon's cronies that made the move to take NXT out of Triple H's hands. And I quote, NXT, which had been Triple H's domain, had been caught in the ongoing family dispute between him and Vince McMahon. Vince's unwillingness to give up any control made progress on the main roster all but impossible. But operating out from under Vince's thumb, Triple H had built NXT into a brand that was not only developing WWE's next generation, but producing some of the organization's best and most innovative wrestling. People were excited about NXT in a way that they weren't about Raw and SmackDown's constant reliance on rehashing the same formulaic storylines over and over. As NXT grew and it became apparent that there was the potential to expand and profit from it, suddenly it became attractive to Vince. In fall of 2019, WWE launched a weekly NXT show slated to go head-to-head on air with AEW. Now, NXT was on the up and up, but so too was AEW. Then Triple H almost died, suffering from heart failure and recovering surgery. He stepped away to deal with his health, and in his absence, Vince's crony saw an opportunity. NXT was losing the ratings battle to AEW, they whispered to Vince. And this is the part where we actually get into the whole John Laurinaitis stuff. I'll just go straight to the excerpt. Changes needed to be made, which is now John Laurinaitis, a former wrestler turned WWE executive and all-around dirtbag, ended up running NXT. Laurinaitis had made a name for himself as an average but by no means outstanding wrestler before he moved into playing an in-ring authority figure type and then a producer. He looked and acted like an entitled 60-year-old former frat boy, tall, blondish, and with a cleft chin. He always appeared to be scowling, even when he smiled. His raspy voice earned him the name Johnny Laurinaitis, which was one of the nicer things people called him. Whereas Triple H looked for talent and potential in NXT prospects, it appeared John Laurinaitis looked for the fuckability. He further purged the NXT roster, firing it seemed like everyone over 25 and turning recruiting attention away from the indie circuits in favor of blonde sorority ties from places like the universities of Florida and Tennessee, putting the blame for the decline on Laurinaitis, which Vince would basically try to do a few months later, would be easy, but Laurinaitis was only a symptom of what was wrong within WWE. Honestly, the actual drama was so much better than anything WWE could ever script. And I have one more I want to read for you, and this is in regards to Vince McMahon. This time I'm wearing my glasses. Fuck this, I could barely see this writing. Okay, jumping directly into the next excerpt. It's hard sometimes to know where the evil, unethical slimeball character of Vince McMahon played out for the camera's ends and the actual, questionably ethical, many times sued and multiple times accused of sexual misconduct Vince McMahon begins, she writes according to CBS Sports. She went on to criticize WWE's Bra and Pennies matches, where female wrestlers would compete to strip down their opponents, saying executives only retired the format very reluctantly and still didn't properly value women's contributions to the company. Although things have changed, with women now featured more prominently in major headlining matches, Rousey said it wasn't because of the leadership by the company, but the fans. And I quote, "It was only after WWE was basically armbarred into it. Following a global social media backlash to hashtag give divas a chance, after divas were given a total of 30 seconds, less time than it takes most people to read this paragraph, for a nationally televised tag match, she wrote. Four women were given less time to collectively wrestle than every single man on the roster got for his intro music alone." The book then states that the WWE has a troubling foundational sexist patriarchal culture and says Rousey is disgusted for the amount of sexist, degrading bullshit the female wrestlers were put through. Rousey was full-time, who gives a shit, let's go to the next excerpt. And behind the scenes, oh yeah, how much of an absolute shit show it is at the WWE, she said. They can't hold the sword over my head and hold me hostage with my own career, and I don't need anything from them, and I don't intend on going back so I can actually say everything that I think and feel, where everybody else that is still held captive by their organization cannot. Okay, so that's the end of all the articles. Again, sorry if I butchered it a little tiny bit. Again, I just put my glasses on just now, but if you want to read through it again, go back in the past. Again, right there, description box below. But we're going to get more into detail about this. All right, so we have the context, right? We're fully understanding the context. First things first. No, Not taking up for Vince McMahon. Not taking up for his regime. Personally speaking, I like the product better with Vince not being there. It's not to say that Triple H is currently cooking at the moment, but I like it better when Vince is not around. And obviously, from a culture standpoint, when going to the locker rooms, it seems like nobody else cares about Vince McMahon also. Not to mention with everything that is falling directly behind him, I completely understand and I agree with the fact that Vince McMahon should not be anywhere near WWE and his entire regime who are linked to him. No one is taking up for Vince McMahon. I do not care for Vince McMahon. Neither should you. And by the way, overall, speaking about professional wrestling or any type of celebridom, it's okay to have sympathy and empathy overall, but to get attached to the degree that you feel as if I should put my neck on the line, metaphorically speaking, for anything in regards to wrestling, I don't give a shit about rich people, okay? I have my own life to live, all right? This is a hobby. YouTube, all this is a hobby. I talk about the wrestlers and I give my opinion on the situation. But to have a personal attachment where I feel as if I have to follow these people on Twitter and I have to give my opinion and I have to support all this stuff justifiably about other people's fucking lives that has nothing to do with my life, touch grass, breathe fresh air, walk around the park, have a kid, have a dog. I don't fucking care what you have to do. Detach yourself from the internet. You're terminally online. These people have lives of their own. Live your own life. I'm saying that because you're going to have a bunch of people who are going to get upset unfairly, by the way, because I'm not going to go directly after Vince McMahon, twiddle my nipples for you guys. I'm not going to go after Vince McMahon super duper hard. I don't need to. For what? You guys are doing that job for me. What I am going to do, though, is call out the shit that I know most people aren't going to fucking call out. The obvious thing staring you directly in the face after reading all these articles. Ronda Rousey is unironically super duper evil. Why do I say that? Oh, let's see. For starters, this information is now starting to come out of her mouth right now, all of a sudden, in her new book. Oh, and please, before we get the people in the audience, oh, Devontae, she was locked under contract. Don't you realize she can't speak her mind when she's still in WWE? Oh, you mean the same contract that she, went away for like 2 or 3 years? She was literally in hiatus in the midst of her contract. She was gone from the company, was not there at all the entire duration of 2019. I can understand the whole 2020 stuff with the what's it called again? The freaking pandemic and stuff. 2021 gone. I don't remember seeing her all in 2021. Also, she came back in 2022. She was gone for nearly half of her contract under contract. She was one of the most recognizable women in the world at the time from a sports standpoint. You mean to tell me she didn't have any leverage? You mean to tell me she didn't have any power? People like to talk about that power dynamic stuff all the time, right? Coming from a feminist, I laugh super duper hard as if you don't have all the power in your hands, but I digress. Please miss me with the nonsense that she couldn't speak out at the time because she was afraid of her job. Ronda Rousey, afraid of her job at the time, peak popularity. Oh, please miss me with the garbage nonsense. She could have spoken out at the time. But apparently she chose to speak out now, not directly after her WWE. Because here's the thing, if you want to say she was under contract, Devontae, I still think that's a bullshit excuse, but at least there's some plausibility to it. I still think it's nonsense for the things that I just listed, but again, I can say to myself, okay, I can see your point even though it's fucking retarded. Tell me in what way, shape, or form held her back from talking about this directly after leaving WWE. Help me out here, folks. She's been gone since what, August? We are now going into April. What held her back all those months? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody? Of course, because you have no answer to that. She held all this information in to sell a fucking book. Can we get that out of the way first? Who cares about the whole Vince McMahon stuff when that's obvious directly in front of your face? There's no running from it. But I know a lot of people are going to try to dust underneath the rug the obvious of what we're seeing currently at the moment. She's trying to sell a book on people's suffering. She held in information that could have probably got Vince investigated a little bit earlier for her own gratification. A lot of people could have turned on Vince at the time, but she held it in to sell a book. In what way is that a good thing? In what way is that unironically not an evil thing? How do you sit back and hold in information and say that you're standing up to the patriarchy? How and what way does it make sense to think to yourself that you're helping out the women in WWE to hold in information that could have made it to the media and could have probably got Vince looked at a lot more earlier than what the fuck occurred right now? It can't just be the fact that you're riding the coattails and you're riding the wave of your irrelevant fucking WWE career within WWE because of the scandal that's constantly right now looping Vince McMahon and all his stupid damn cronies. It can't be that, right? Huh, Roundy? Huh? Can definitely be that right now at the moment. Let me ask you guys a question, because it's as if you guys aren't even noticing the pattern of what Ronda Rousey is currently doing right now at the moment. Taking the safe approach of what social media and all our goddamn derelicts and all our goddamn sycophants who like to stand behind her want to pretend as if this is not occurring at the goddamn moment. What was going on in 2015 for Ronda Rousey not to see this was occurring in WWE? Hell, 2014, wasn't she at SummerSlam at the time in the front row? Or something like that? 2015? Whatever. A decade ago. A full, 3 years before she signed with WWE. A full 3, maybe even 4 years before she signed with WWE. Damn near a decade before signing with WWE. What was the problem then, Ronda? The culture in WWE was a hell of a lot worse than what the fuck you were seeing backstage at the time. You know, the same backstage you were scouting when you were at WWE at the time? Why weren't you speaking up at the time? Could it be the fact that you didn't give a shit and that you were in UFC and that you were at the peak of your goddamn popularity and that's why you didn't care? Because you were making hand over fist of money, beating jobbers, the equivalent in WWE and the UFC? Again, this ain't me saying this. You go to UFC forums or MMA forums, you hear how they talk about Ronda Rousey after Holly Holmes, after Amanda Nunes dusted her ass off. This is not me. You leave it up to them. This is the equivalent of saying a person is a good wrestler because you put them in the ring with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. No shit. If you put any wrestler in the ring with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, you're going to be looked upon to see. Of course, you're going to be looked at as a good wrestler. No goddamn shit. But when you have to go in there and you have to be the ring general, oh, and then the match absolutely fucking bombs, then of course, absolutely you're exposed. That's the equivalent, apparently, leaving it to MMA fans when talking about Ronda Rousey's time in the UFC. So let me know. I gotta understand this. Please, tell me what I'm missing right now. When all that stuff happened and she started to become irrelevant, mind you, by the way, the same person who has the temperament of a fucking 2-year-old child, saying all this stuff backstage, throwing a hissy fit because she lost her matches, because, oh, her credibility is ruined. The patriarchy my ass when you have the fucking testosterone of a 30-year-old goddamn student graduating out of college for the first time because he finally, after so many years of failing out of his courses, he finally fucking graduated college, his community college that his mom made him go to. Oh, please miss me with the nonsense. You have the testosterone of a person who's fucking doing push-ups, getting back up, doing some dumbbell lifts, laying down, doing some sit-ups. You are just as much a part of the patriarchy from an energy standpoint than any fucking normal man. What happened to all that, huh, Rhonda? You guys buy this shit? Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? She is not fighting the patriarchy. She is a part of the patriarchy. She is not fighting against the elite. She is a part of the elite. And I ain't talking about AEW either. Are you serious right now? Are you serious? You're gonna have people going to try to come to me and justify holding information in like this because she was too afraid to speak out. I ask again, then where was that same energy months ago when your contract ran out, Rhonda? Oh, that's right. Not the same energy, right? Not the same energy. See, this is what I hate when it comes to these social justice warriors. And yes, for the people who hate the term woke, who hate the term SJW, okay, let's use a different terminology. You know what I like to call them, huh? You want to hear what I call them? I call them champagne socialists. That's what I call them. Champagne socialists. And you probably heard the name before anyways. Okay, you heard the terminology before. Champagne leftists, if you will. Champagne SJWs, whatever the case may be. People who can sit in their cottage with their pinky up in the air, drinking out of their wine glass, trying to look at the many little people and say to themselves, what's a correct way for me to virtue signal to everybody, to show everybody I'm a good person without having to actually do any of the fucking work? oh, well, let's take the current trend of the day and let's look at what's going on from a negative perspective from all the peons that I have to look at and say to myself, ew, what are you doing with your dirty, grubby hands coming 5 feet near me? Are you fucking kidding me right now? She's riding the trend. They do this all the time. Every celebrity. How have you not fucking caught on to this by now, guys? Huh? Really, how have you not caught on to this? It's been fucking decades of this doing. They ride the fucking wave of what's popular and they take the safest route to not hurt their image. Ronda Rousey sees an opportunity that's currently going on right now with the Vince McMahon situation. She held on to all this information that I don't even know if it even fucking occurred. I think it did. Aaliyah did jump on Twitter and say, thank you, Ronda. Let me kiss your ass, Ronda, because you definitely stood up for me backstage and you definitely had so much clout for me that my dumbass got released a couple of months ago. What was the energy then, Ronda? Huh? What was the energy for NXT then, huh? What was the energy for WWE then? Because you didn't care. Because it didn't benefit you until now. And you're probably going to have women backstage, all the men backstage. Oh, Devontae, don't you understand? Ronda was probably patting her back backstage. It's going to be all right, sister girl. It's going to be all right, queen. You know what actually helped? If you probably would have came out with that information in August when you left WWE to let everybody know what happened before Aaliyah got released. Not wait for her to get released and then tell her story afterwards. And again, there's no point in talking about this because you're gonna have so many people running around. You're gonna have them with the same guy. It's the same shit every fucking time when talking about social media or talking about all this stuff in general. It's the same shit. They'll sit here and they talk and they sell and they sell. They're a salesperson. They're no different. Ronda Rousey has now mastered the art of working. And I ain't talking about her shitty wrestling. I'm talking about working people. Working you fools into believing that what she's talking right now has not been known for years, but she's gonna ride that trend as if it's fucking now being fucking exposed for everybody to see. And be working you to believe that she gave a shit about any of this. She did not give a goddamn shit about all this. And like I said, if for anything else, she's a terrible person for holding in this information and it now just being released in a book that she's trying to sell. Please miss me with the nonsense and forgive me if I give a little bit of a less of a shit than you do. But who am I to speak upon the peons? And that's not me and my label. That's how Ronda looks at you as a fucking dollar sign, you goddamn morons. But like I said, don't leave it up to me. You guys tell me how you feel about the Ronda Rousey situation. No, Devontae, you're going nuclear. You're going nuclear on Ronda. How about taking that same energy to Vince McMahon? No, how about I leave that up to you, okay? How about I leave that up to you? And I'll say the same thing back in reverse. You're going nuclear on Vince McMahon. How about you talk about the evil in general? Because I'm willing to condemn Vince all goddamn day. And I'll say it once and I'll say it a goddamn again. I don't give a fuck about Vince McMahon. I don't give a fuck about his regime. And I'm happy that he's gone. Cool? And guess what? I still dissed Ronda Rousey. Now, how about you take that same energy you gave to Vince and flip it around and you talk about Ronda just like how I talked about Vince McMahon, just like how I talked about the whole situation. But you won't do it. You know why? Because it's not safe for you to do. Because socially, you get ripped up and down by the fucking losers who coincide with you on your social media apps. Please miss me with this fucking nonsense, Ronda Rousey. Oh, she's such a queen. Queen Ronda. Fuck you. As always, my name is Devontae. Go in the comment section down below and let me know your stupid fucking opinions down there of me being you're cucking for Vince. Cut these nuts in your mouth. As always, deuces, P.I.s.